My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. And you're going to want to pay attention because we have been killing it. We've been handing out picks, handing out money. Everybody's been watching these videos has been cashing big time, and I'm about to break down the entire UFC 282 fight card, giving you my picks, my predictions, and my bets. Before I jump in, we're giving away $1,000, and a couple things need to happen. One, we need to hit 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year. That is going to happen. We're about 1,000 away. We got 2 decent events, bunch of live streams coming up. We will hit it. So in order to qualify, all you need to do is be a subscriber to this channel. That's free. Be a subscriber to the Picks Nation channel. That's free. And then comment on the giveaway video. That's free. Just subscribe to 2 channels, comment on a video, and you could win $1,000. And make sure you do those 3 things. Don't be the idiot that only subscribed to one of the 2 channels or forgot to comment, because we're just using a random comment picker online to pick the winner. So subscribe to the channels, make a comment. All the links to that stuff are in the description of this video. Jump on that now because you don't want to miss out on some very free money. And speaking of money, we've been handing it out. We've been handing it out. I'm just passing money out on the streets. We have given you 51 units of net profit over the last 4 events. That's just the last 4 events. I can't fit anything else on this slide. This is what that has all looked like. UFC Orlando, smack in the middle there. I'm up 3.8 units. And I had 2 bets canceled, right? Takedown bet, that was 2 units. That got canceled because there were no takedowns. And then the Tracy Cortez bet canceled. So I still managed 3.8 units of net profit, even though my total betting value number, whatever the hell you want to call it, went down. Jacob's up 9.7 units. His lock of the week hit. His live stream bets went absolutely wild. Our 2- and 3-leg member parlay hit. All of these things happened. We just, honestly, it's surreal how well we are doing and how long we've been doing this well. It defies all logic, but let's continue that train. This is what those bets were. You can pause this video. I'm not going through, but these were the premium member bets. Everything highlighted in yellow is what hit. That's what totaled those net profit I showed you. These black lines are ones that were canceled. Tracy Cortez canceled. Yasmin Gargui, most takedowns landed, canceled. They gave you a refund because there were no takedowns in that fight. Become a premium member today. It's $10 a month. Freaking $10 a month. I just told you I gave you 51 units of net profit over the last 4 events. I gave you 13 units just last night alone. If a unit's $10, I gave you more than a year of membership just from one event. Sign up now. WeWantPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. It's $10. It's $10. $2.50 a month. You get all the bets, which we just showed you cash. All the prop games, which I just showed you cash. You get a DraftKings optimizer, player rankings. The amount of stuff you get for $10, just absolutely unreal. We are the best value in the history of sports betting. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It is only $2.50 a week. And if you want $50 to really kick off that holiday season, go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our betting partners on that page using our link. Make a deposit, and we'll send you $50. It's that simple. It's affiliate marketing. They pay us, we pay you. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Use the link. Create an account, make a deposit. I will send you $50 as a thank you. UFC 282 went from one of the best cards of the entire year to a mediocre pay-per-view. We lost the Glover fight. There was a couple other shifts and chefs and changes. What the hell's a shaft? Changes on the card. It went from, I can't wait for this event to, yeah, I'm going to watch it, but not as excited. The money we've been winning, hopefully that will inject some life into this event as well. And now, opening up the card, we have Cameron Saaiman taking on Steven Koslow. Steven Koslow is stepping up on short notice to make his UFC debut. Style-wise, he's an aggressive grappler. He has submission wins in every one of his pro fights. And what I like about him is he's not desperate to get it to the ground. He's going to come forward, he's going to strike, and then he's going to shoot. He's not just immediately diving at legs. He's not butt scooting, jiu-jitsu nerding his way to the ground. His striking is not great, and there's not much power there, but he does use it, and you really can't just ignore his pressure. And Cameron Saaiman's a fun technical striker who can grapple if he needs to. He does a great job stepping into his combinations and then finishing them with leg kicks. He's going to work in spinning attacks, and then when you're trying to figure out his striking timing, he drops down, takes a shot. He does not have incredible power, but he is fast, accurate, and relentless enough to get it done. And then first of all, nobody should be betting on this fight. Do not spend your money on this fight. We have two guys making their UFC debuts. Both of them only have 6 fights. That's not a wise way to spend your money. I know some of you are like desperate to bet on every single fight, and I don't get why. Don't do it here. There was a bunch of red flag fights at UFC Orlando we told you not to bet on. Hopefully you avoided those. We made a ton of money because we pick our spots. This is not a spot that has any pickings. Do not bet on this fight. Frankly, this should be a 50-50 fight. The books have Saaiman as a massive favorite, and frankly, coming off that Contender Series performance, I get it. But this is essentially striker versus grappler, and if Kim was able to take down Saaiman, then Koslow certainly can as well, and we just don't know yet how he's going to handle it. The problem with these guys that have this few fights in their careers, we just don't know what they're going to do. We don't know how Koslow is going to handle the striking pressure of Saaiman or how Saaiman is going to handle the grappling pressure of Koslow. So Saaiman is going to be my pick because I think the gap between their striking is much wider than the gap between their grappling. But again, save your money. Do not bet on this fight. Just enjoy it. It should be a pretty fun undercard opener. And that takes us to Daniel Da Silva taking on Vinicius Salvador. And Daniel Da Silva, or also known as Daniel Lacerda, if you're doing your research, could be kind of a pain in the ass to find his tape. He's a pretty good striker. He's got solid kicks, good forward pressure. If he gets it to the ground, he has really good control and pressure from top, but his takedowns aren't great, so that's not necessarily a guarantee. All 11 wins and 4 losses are by stoppage, so he is very dangerous, but he's willing to put himself in harm's way to chase a stoppage. He's a legit threat both standing and on the ground, but he needs to be the one dictating and controlling. He's not very good backing up or off his back. Vinicius Salvador is a rangy striker who has no problem being patient and waiting for his shot. He has a counter-striking style, but definitely thinks he's better than he is. In his Contender Series win, he kept his back against the cage. He tried to bob and weave his way into that. He thought he was Anderson Silva in that Stephan Bonner fight, but the reality is he was getting hit a lot. He does have big power because of his length and his range, but there's holes in his grappling as well. This is another fight. I hate to do this to you. I know you guys, you see how much money we're making. You're just foaming at your mouth for bet. Again, we're making this money because we are picking our spots. This is not a fight that, at least I'm filming this before prop bets have dropped. Right now, there is no spot. Keep your money in your wallet and just watch this fight. Vinicius should absolutely win this fight. He's a solid striker. He's got power. He's got range, but he's very hittable. And any tape you watch involves him just getting pieced up and at some point in the fight. Da Silva is on the wrong side of 3 UFC fights, but he is very dangerous. He has his own power. Vinicius is going to be the pick here. He's probably going to win and probably going to win by stoppage, but I cannot trust my money with a UFC debut as hittable as Vinicius is. So we'll see what the DraftKings pricing is because he's probably a solid DraftKings play. We'll see what the opportunity is with prop bets. Maybe we get lucky enough for a 2.5 round. Bang, there's the over. So let's see what happens with the props right now. No bet. Monkey Knife Fight Knockout Kings, guarantee. That's another thing that we're crushing week in and week out. That's just free money. If you don't know what that is, it's daily fantasy. Just head on over to WeWantPicks.com/MKF. If you sign up, they'll instantly match your deposit if you use our link. And you can pick any 3 fighters on the card, and if one of them wins by KO or TKO, you get paid. 2, you get paid even more. 3, even more. And we've just been cleaning up because it's very easy to find at least one fighter on a card. You can double this fight up. One of these dudes is going to get knocked out. Free money there. WeWantPicks.com/MKF. That takes us to Erik Silva and TJ Brown. And Erik Silva is an aggressive grappler who's going to march you down. He walks forward, throwing heavy punches and heavy kicks, and then looks to get you to the ground. On top, he's got great pressure and control. Everything he does looks like it hurts. He's just constantly focused on damaging his opponents. He gets wild on his feet with jumping and spinning attacks, but it's almost like he doesn't take the striking serious and is just having fun out there, just waiting for it to get to the ground. TJ Brown is an aggressive striker with solid volume and a great pace. He's also a very good grappler that averages almost 5 takedowns per fight. His takedown accuracy is okay at 61%, but he has no problem backing out of a shot. So he'll take a shot, wrestling shot, back out of it, reset, drop back down, and then do that again until he gets the takedown. And while TJ can be a busy offensive wrestler, his defensive wrestling can use some work. He's got a 41% takedown defense, and he has been taken down 10 times in 6 fights. He's coming off that loss to Shahbazyan Nurdenbeek, where he didn't initiate any takedowns. He gave up 3, He did threaten submissions off his back, but he was giving up positions to chase those and then just accepted bottom. So he essentially lost that fight because he was chasing submissions and losing scrambles. And this is pretty straightforward for me. If Nerdenbeek can take down TJ 3 times, then so will Erik Silva. So TJ is talented, but he makes very poor decisions in fight. Instead of defending a takedown and working on his own, he seems to create scrambles that he can't necessarily win and then chases a sub that he's not going to get. So I like Erik to bully in this fight. I like him to get it to the ground, and I like him to control his way to a win. Once he gets you down, it is very hard to work your way back up. And if TJ Brown is going to create these unnecessary scrambles, he might even get caught. So Erik Silva is the pick. Then we have Ovince St. Preux taking on short notice Antonio Trocoli. And Ovince St. Preux has been bouncing around between heavyweight and light heavyweight the past few years, but I'm glad he seems to be sticking with light heavyweight here because he's a talented guy, but he can't really hang as well with the big boys. Style-wise, he's a very good striker. He's got power and technique. He also averages a little more than 1 takedown per fight, but really only wrestles when the opportunity to do so just sort of falls in his lap. He should be wrestling a little more, but it is what it is. He's frustrating to watch because you know how talented he is, but he never seems to let his hands go. He's just always one punch at a time, very low volume. And we talk about his power and his striking, but he actually has more submission wins in the UFC than knockouts. So this dude's submitting people left and right, and we all just talk about what a striker he is. Antonio Trocoli's coming back after 3 years away because of a USADA issue. He has fought in those 3 years, but not in the UFC. He's a hot prospect with a fun come-forward style. He's incredibly long for this division, and he will throw really long strikes while coming forward. And once that distance is closed, he's going to look to grapple. He doesn't look like he has great power, but he's got plenty of knockdowns and knockouts because of that length and his ability to hit you so far outside the pocket. His takedowns are mostly trips and uchimatas, but once he gets you to the ground, he's an aggressive grappler who uses that length to lock up chokes. Ovince is the type of guy that he can win almost every fight that he's in, but he manages to let them slip away because he refuses to let his hands go. Just a frustrating low-volume guy. I think Mark DeCasey at UFC Orlando. And I think that's what's going to happen here. I think Ovince is going to defend some takedowns, land some solid shots, but ultimately be too gun-shy, too reserved, and he's going to lose this fight. I don't love Trocoli's takedowns, right? They're like weird trips, and he's dragging you to the ground instead of shooting nice takedowns, but I still think the reach is going to be the difference here. Same way Jamal Hill beat Ovince. So Trocoli's going to be the pick. I'm looking at this line very, very closely. I may throw a money line bet on it. I'm just torn, right? Again, this guy's 3 years removed from the UFC. Like, Ovince St. Preux is a tried and true vet. We just watched 2 vets that a lot of people counted out win at UFC Orlando. Clay Guida and Michael Johnson. Ovince could do that same thing, but he's looked sloppy lately. Antonio Trocoli's legit good. I'm probably going to throw a money line bet on him. Become a premium member. You'll see if and when I place that bet instantly. Just go to WeWantPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. It's only $10. We've given you 51 units of net profit over the last 4 events. 13 or 18 last night. 13, I forget. Something like that last night. So I think it was 13. We're giving you all sorts of money. It's just $10 a month. Sign up. After you sign up, you can link your Discord. And then you will literally get alerts to your phone. Angelo just placed this bet. Angelo just did it. Jacob just did it. Immediately to your phone. So make sure you follow along, especially on prop bet day. Then we have the always fun Billy Quarantillo taking on Alexander Hernandez. And Billy's a very good grappler with solid striking and incredible aggression. His striking is not very technical, but his offense is effective with almost 8 significant strikes landing per minute. Ultimately, Billy has a weird striking style and fantastic BJJ, and that's what he's going to want to focus on here, getting it to the ground, utilizing his BJJ. He has only a 21% takedown accuracy, but he does have 8 takedowns in 7 UFC fights. Alexander Hernandez has an interesting run in the UFC, right? He's alternating wins and losses. He looks like he can be a champ in one fight, and the next fight he goes out there and he's just a dud. He has beaten some really good people like Beneil Dariush and Francisco Trinaldo. Alex is a solid wrestler. He's an athlete. He's got power. He's got speed, but at times he does struggle to mix in the wrestling, which allows his opponents to settle into a striking rhythm and then pick him apart. And a lot of fights on this card have odds that I don't necessarily agree with and don't make sense. If you want to make Billy the favorite because of his pace and volume, I get it. But for him to almost be a 2-to-1 favorite on the books feels really off the mark for me. Alex is a gamer who can be hard to take down and dangerous on his feet. And I mentioned Billy's incredible volume at almost 8 significant strikes landing per minute, but he's also hit with almost 6. And statistically, Alex is better everywhere. Higher takedown average, better striking defense, better takedown accuracy, and not to mention he's just the better athlete as well. I hate that Alex can get sucked into kickboxing matches when he's got the wrestling to lean on. But I think I like him in the underdog spot here. Like, Billy's very good. He sets an incredible pace, but he is a year removed from his last fight, and I'm hoping there's going to be some rust there. So Alex is going to be the pick. It's a low confidence pick. So I'm going to be watching this one, probably holding on to my cash. Again, waiting for the prop bets to drop. BetOnline does that plus 3.5 bet where you're buying around on the judge's scorecard. Alexander Hernandez could absolutely not only win this fight, but win one single round. He could lose this fight 29-28, and that bet will hit. So we'll see when those bets drop. That is a BetOnline exclusive. So if you use our link at WeWantPicks.com/bets and you sign up with BetOnline, you make your deposit, we'll send you $50 as a thank you, right? They're going to pay us, and then we're going to pay you. It's literally that simple. And if you're a premium member, make sure you have your Discord linked and your alerts turned on, because once these prop bets drop, usually on Tuesdays, we're going to hammer them, and that plus 3.5 is something I'll be looking for. That's WeWantPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. It's only $10. I know you guys hate those promos, but I don't really give a shit because we have well over 1,000 premium members, and we've been giving you all sorts of cash, including the free bets. So shut up about complaining about the promos. Then we have Chris Curtis taking on Joaquin Buckley. And I got to admit, this is one of the harder fights to pick and break down. Chris Curtis is a clean boxer with decent takedown defense, and he's got a really improved takedown offense as well. He's got solid power in his hands, and it comes from clean, short punches, which catch people off guard. He works in solid leg kicks, and he will touch up the body as well. He takes his time with his shots, but he's always moving his body to stay out of the way and to set something up. We have seen him struggle with pure wrestlers outside of the UFC, but inside the UFC, he KO'd 4 of the 5 grapplers that he's fought. He's coming off short notice decision loss to Jack Hermanson, where he did defend all 6 takedown attempts, but he was ultimately outstruck 100-43, and that was outstruck by grappler Jack Hermanson. Joaquin Buckley is a powerful striker with big power, and he comes in hot. He's got good forward movement, and he has a really improved working his angles. He used to just straight ahead come at you, and now he's working his angles really, really well. He comes at you with speed and power and does a great job ripping the body and then coming to the head. We all know he has power, but he has gotten more comfortable recently not chasing that big knockout. And we have seen him working takedowns as well, like 5 against Razak Al-Hassan and 3 takedown attempts. He didn't get them, but at least attempting takedowns in his last fight. When you're attempting takedowns, it sort of opens up your hands. He's coming off that decision loss to Imavov, where he did show incredible heart and incredible cardio. And Buckley's a slight favorite here, and if you only look at their last fights, I get it. Right? Chris was just walked down and outstruck by a grappler, where Joaquin almost took the head off of his opponent and was swinging to the bell. It's a tricky fight to break down because Chris Curtis has yet to fight a true striker in the UFC. Everyone he fought and knocked out was a grappler. Buckley, on the other hand, has fought pure strikers, but he has had mixed success. Di Chirico knocked him out, and so did Kevin Holland. And this is another fight where it's hard to be absolutely sure about what's going to happen. The pick, I think, is going to be Buckley at this point. And this is, I may change this pick. So make sure you watch the updated video, the full breakdown, and keep checking in, because I might change this pick. Because Buckley, I know I can trust him to come forward. I know I can trust him to bomb away. But Chris Curtis has nasty short counters. And we cannot forget that his loss to Hermanson was short notice. And it was short notice after a 3-round war. It was short notice on the other side of the planet after a 3-round war. So there was a lot going against him going into that last fight. No money line here. I'm going to wait for those props to drop. We'll find something juicy. But this could look like a Wonder Boy Thompson, Kevin Holland fight. What did we tell you in that fight? Kevin Holland, we all think he's an amazing striker. We haven't seen him fight a striker yet, but we're positive Wonder Boy is a very good striker. And that could be this. Everybody thinks Chris Curtis is this amazing striker because he knocked out a couple of wrestlers. Well, now he's not fighting a wrestler. So let's see what happens. Stay tuned. Make sure, I don't change my pick halfway through the week. I don't do that very often, but, you never know. This is my money I'm spending. I got to make sure I'm doing it right. Then we got Edmen Shahbazyan taking on Dalcha Lungiambula. Edmen Shahbazyan is a very good striker, and he's also well-rounded, and he's got really impressive kicks. He can be open to takedowns because he's long and he plants before throwing his strikes. His takedown defense is just okay at 57%, and if he is taken down, he can be in some trouble, which is how both Derek Brunson and Jack Hermanson beat him. He has solid offensive wrestling with almost 3 takedowns per fight, and will likely be looking to use that here. Dalcha Lungiambula is a short powerhouse who is fast and dangerous. He comes forward with insane power and pressure. His grappling roots have gotten him at least 1 takedown in 5 of his 6 UFC fights. He has 5 takedowns in his last 3 fights, including 2 against Punahil Soriano, and before eventually knocking him out. He dominated that first round with power and athleticism, and then he just got tired and knocked out. So, to be clear, I don't know if I worded that correctly. Punahil knocked out Dalcha because Dalcha got a bunch of takedowns, exhausted himself, and then lights out. And I might be reading this entire card wrong, but to have Edmen Shahbazyan as a 3-1 favorite over Dalcha seems way off. Edmen's coming off 3 losses in a row, and he has struggled with takedown defense. Everyone wants to talk about Dalcha's power, but he is a judo black belt, and the blueprint to beat Edmen is to take him down. Dalcha has leaned on his takedowns quite a bit in his last few fights, and he might do it again here. I'm going to pick Edmen still because Dalcha's cardio is just absolute trash. But for Edmen to be a 3-1 favorite is nuts, and do not put him in your parlays. I know some of you are lazy. No offense. Some of you are lazy. You literally just look at the odds. You grab the biggest favorites you see and you put them together and you cross your fingers. Edmen Shahbazyan should win this fight, but he could absolutely be a parlay buster. Do not lazily throw him into a parlay. Do not do that. There's your warning, right? Not only do we give you our picks and bets, we also tell you what to stay away from. Then we got Raul Rosas Jr. taking on Perrin. Perrin is coming back after a couple losses in the UFC, back-to-back UFC losses. The first was to Mario Batista, where he did step up on short notice. That was his UFC debut. But more recently, he lost to a Corey Lang, where despite getting 3 takedowns, he was just a step behind in the striking. Stylistically, he's a well-rounded guy who primarily is looking to wrestler. He comes forward with strikes, and then he shoots. He almost never gets his first shot, so he ends up spending a lot of time against the cage and then working from there. When he gets you to the ground, he's looking to ground and pound and not necessarily for submissions. Raul Rosas Jr. is a non-stop grappler, and he needed his parents to sign a permission slip for him to compete on the Contender Series. He's 18 now, but he was only 17 then, and he won that fight with 3 takedowns and almost 12 minutes of control time. His striking definitely needs some work because he comes in a little reckless, and he can put himself into harm's way for just no reason. But he's fast, athletic, and he steps an absolutely relentless pace. I think it's a little early in Raul's career to be in the UFC, and that's probably not a take that a lot of you are going to be high on, but he's only 6-0. He's got all the potential. He's only 18. I don't know why you're putting him in there with UFC caliber people just to get his brain scrambled, because by the time he hits his peak, this is like an Aaron Pico situation. You guys really watch MMA, you should know who Aaron Pico is in Bellator. They pushed him a little too fast. His brains got scrambled a little too early, and he's just never going to be what he was going to be. That kid could have been literally the best fighter on planet Earth, but he's just a little too young to be competing at the level he was competing at. And that might be the situation with, I got a lisp, situation with Raul Rosas here. I think he needs a little more experience to clean things up before he should be competing sort of at a meaningful level, but I still think he dominates this fight. I think he's going to outpace Perrin. He's going to wrestle the shit out of him. It's going to be his first official UFC. I do have a 2-unit money line bet on him at minus 255. I'm very confident in this pick. I think he's going to wet blanket his way to a decision, so that everything I said about him too early in the UFC, right now they're playing it well, but there's only so many fights you can give him that you're positive he's going to win before he starts to get his brains scrambled. He's young. He's too young for this level. Too young. Then we have a couple of biggie boys. We got biggie boy, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, taking on Chris Daukaus. Jairzinho Rozenstruik is a very heavy-handed striker. He's a Muay Thai striker by trade, but style-wise, he's more of a counter striker who waits, and lots of times he falls behind. He's losing a fight, probably going to lose a decision, then he'll find that big punch. His biggest issue, or my biggest issue with Rozenstruik's style is if he can't win the striking exchanges, he has zero backup plan. He has zero takedowns in the UFC, and his takedown defense is 75%, which is decent, but he has been taken down by all the better guys, right? Blades, gone, even Alistair Overeem, who's a striker. He's coming off back-to-back losses, including a TKO to Volkov in June. Chris Daukaus is a pretty good boxer. He's fast at heavyweight. He ties in combinations well. He has power in his hands with 4 TKO wins in the UFC, but he also has a suspect chin with 2 KO losses. Daukaus has never been taken down or attempted a takedown in the UFC, but if it does end up on the ground, he's probably going to be prepared because he does have a BJJ black belt. He's coming off back-to-back losses to Derek Lewis and Curtis Blades, and Curtis Blades knocked him out, didn't take him down. The odds have this 2-1 for Rozenstruik, but this should be a 50-50 fight. Both guys are strikers. Both have incredible power. Both can knock each other out. Rozenstruik is the more durable guy, where Daukaus is going to have the higher volume and the faster hands. I get why Rozenstruik is the favorite, though, because Daukaus is going to have to fight perfect for 15 minutes. He's going to have to dance around, not be knocked out, and touch him. But minus 185 for Rozenstruik is absurd. And I want to pick Chris. What is going on here? I want to pick. It's because those damn fights last night went till 2 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, I want to pick Daukaus here. I think he's the better striker. And that sounds stupid because technically speaking, I think Rozenstruik is. But I think Chris has the better footwork. He's active. He's faster. He's busier. But Jesus, did his brother look like a pathetic bag of crap last night. But luckily he doesn't fight like his brother. His brother's a jiu-jitsu nerd, and Chris Daukaus is a striker. So I'm still going to pick Chris Daukaus, but you should not bet on this fight. It was the same thing with Tai Tuivasa and Sergey Pavlovich. Sergey was the favorite. He ended up looking like the favorite. He ended up knocking out Tuivasa, but that's not the point. The point is, it's basically a 50-50 fight. You have two dudes swinging leather that could knock each other out in one punch. The worst guy can knock out the better guy can knock out the worst guy. Talent means nothing at that point when you get guys this big swinging that hard with chins that give out. It just means nothing. So I think I'm going to pick Chris Daukaus here. Don't bet this fight. Do not parlay these people. Take both of them, throw them into Knockout Kings. That's what we did with Pavlovich and Tuivasa, and we cashed money. And we do it every single week. So go to WeWantPicks.com/MKF. Sign up. Promo code WWP. They'll instantly match your deposit. Give them $100. They'll give you $100. Build 10 different Knockout Kings entries and just throw $10, $50. Throw $100 at every single one of them. Have these two in them and then grab a third person. And who cares? You're just going to keep racking up, making that money. That's WeWantPicks.com/MKF. It is daily fantasy, so you can just do it on your phone or the website, however you want to do it. Then we have everybody's favorite little redneck, Bryce Mitchell, taking on Ilia Topuria. Bryce Mitchell's a dominant wrestler from the wrestling powerhouse state of Arkansas. And if you can't sense the sarcasm in my voice, then maybe English isn't your first language, which is totally fine because everybody who is familiar with American wrestling knows that New Jersey, Pennsylvania, those states, Ohio, Iowa, those states are where quality wrestlers come from. The South, unfortunately, Arkansas, they're at the bottom of the list. Bryce Mitchell has made himself a career. It hasn't stopped him from being an absolute wrestling beast in the cage. He averages over 3 takedowns per fight. He's got an accuracy of 52%. So basically, he's just diving at legs. His striking is awkward, but he doesn't even pretend that he wants to strike. He keeps his hands low. He just starts diving at legs and working from there. If he gets you to the ground, which is almost a guarantee, he doesn't even strike. He works for submissions. He keeps control, and he does have some really, really impressive grappling scrambles. Ilia Topuria is a very well-rounded fighter, and you're going to see that he's coming off 3 knockout wins in a row and 4 in his last 5, but I promise you, he is a wrestler. He averages more than 3 takedowns per fight, and what makes him so impressive is he doesn't have a set game plan, meaning even though he's an amazing wrestler, he doesn't need to wrestle. He's perfectly capable of winning a kickboxing match, and he's coming off that win over Jai Herbert, but he was dropped in that fight. We finally saw that he can be a human being, but that was short notice and up in weight, and he still knocked that dude out cold. I get why people love Bryce Mitchell. Honestly, he might be one of the best rappers to hit the game. Go check out his rap video. That's good stuff. But he's not winning this fight. I get it. He's got effective wrestling, but there is a difference between a dude from Arkansas who dives at legs and a Georgian who has been wrestling since he was in the womb. Striking-wise, they're not on the same planet. They're not on the same planet as far as their hands go. And you think Bryce Mitchell's going to out-wrestle this Georgian? Let's look at last night. Let's look at UFC Orlando. What did my breakdown say? You got to go with Roman Dolidze. We have grappler, and Roman is a world champion. Everyone's talking about how good Jack Hermanson is of a grappler. Jack Hermanson is just a very good grappler who's had success in the UFC. Roman's a world champion. What happened when they actually grappled? Roman made him look like a boy. Made him look like a boy. That's what's going to happen here. We have a good wrestler who's made a career in the UFC wrestling versus I'm not going to say world level wrestler, but versus an incredible wrestler who has been wrestling since the day he was born in a country that breeds wrestlers. This may be clipped and shipped a million times over because I might look stupid as hell if Bryce Mitchell somehow pulls this off. There's just no way that's happening. There is no way that's happening. Ilia Topuria is going to smoke Bryce Mitchell. He can outstrike him. He can out-wrestle him. He's going to do whatever the hell he wants. I've had a moneyline bet on Ilia Topuria for a very long time. And if you're a premium member, you've seen that bet. Hopefully you tailed it. I am shocked Ilia Topuria is not a 9-1 favorite here. And this might be the worst read in history. This is the same read I had with Roman versus Jack Hermanson. So Ilia Topuria is obviously the pick. I got a money line bet on him. Become a premium member now so you can see those bets when we place them. But the most interesting bet on this fight may be the takedown prop bets. BetOnline offers takedown prop bets. They'll set a line for each guy. You pick more or less. And that's gambling, not fantasy, actual sports book. Or they're just going to say, who's going to get more takedowns in this fight, Bryce or Ilia? That one I'm going to be iffy about, but we'll see what the lines are. Might place some bets on that. So make sure you stay tuned. Become a premium member. WeOwnPicks.com. Click Become a Member, and then link your Discord so that you'll get alerts instantly when we place those bets. Then we got Darren Till. Looking a little hungover in this picture, a little red. I drank a little too much. We got Darren Till taking on Dricus du Plessis. I know that's not his last name. Darren Till is an excellent boxer who's had a rough few years. He had really high-level matchups that didn't always go his way, a bunch of injuries, and that led to canceled fights and unfortunately, mental health issues. And I'm not saying that sarcastically. He's a talented striker with legit power. He stays composed. He's a tough matchup for anyone who can't get him to the ground. And what Darren does really well is he controls that range. He keeps people guessing. He could potentially trick Dricus into thinking that he's in takedown range when he's not, and then just catch him with something. And Dricus du Plessis is a very good striker who occasionally works in the takedown. He's exciting to watch because of his explosiveness and incredible leg kicks. He's a very good grappler as well. In his fight with Trevin Giles, which was only 8 minutes, he took him down twice, reversed him, and had a minute and a half of control time. And when he's on the ground, he hunts for submissions and looks for stoppages there as well. He's coming off the first decision of his career over Brad Tavares, where he landed 113 strikes, but he went 0 for 7 on takedown attempts. This is another underdog spot that I like here. And what makes this tricky, though, is Darren has been out of pocket for a while. I have to assume that he's ready to go. He's injury-free. And Darren, without injury, should be light years ahead of Dricus in the striking, and he shouldn't have a problem defending the takedowns. Dricus loves to just rush forward, chin up, hands flying, and while that might work against lesser opponents, someone as technically sound as Till should be able to avoid the haymakers and land his own shots. Till's going to be the pick here. I do have a moneyline bet on him. I've had that for a little while now. I'm nervous about it because didn't he get a DUI? Like, Darren Till's been dealing with some shit. So I'm a little nervous about that moneyline bet, but skill for skill, Darren Till is the better fighter. And yes, his recent record is not great, but look who he has fought. Every single person he lost to would smoke Dricus as well. So Darren Till's going to be the pick here, and I'm just hoping he's just a little bit of himself coming into this fight. You're a premium member, you'll see that bet, and you'll see what those odds are. Then we got Robbie Lawler taking on Santiago Ponzinibbio. And Santiago Ponzinibbio is a very good striker who likes to stay out of the pocket. He's got clean striking and perfect range. He keeps people at the end of his punches, and he's one of the few people who uses that range and reach really well. He does not have a ton of raw power, but he has great volume, and he works TKOs because of that volume and pressure. He's coming off back-to-back split decision losses, where he worked in takedowns for the first time since 2017. Robbie Lawler's a technical brawler who can wrestle. He's a ton of fun to watch because he has clean technique, and he's going to do the right things, and then he's going to get pulled into a brawl. He's going to do what he's supposed to do and then have too much fun, get stuck in a brawl, and he's going to throw big, heavy shots. And even at 40 years old, though, Robbie Lawler is dangerous. He's got enough experience and power to give anybody some trouble. The problem is he definitely takes a lot of damage, and he's definitely declining. He's coming off the TKO losses to Bryan Barberena, which was his first since losing his title in 2016. Not his first loss, obviously, his first TKO loss. You see the odds, and you're going to assume that Ponzinibbio is 5-0 in his last 5 and not 2-3. Ponzinibbio is a massive favorite here. I get it, he's a very good striker, but he has been knocked out in 2 of his last 4 losses. And Robbie Lawler may be old and slow, but he still hits hard. I do think Ponzinibbio gets it done, and if he puts on a high pace like Barberena did, he may get the finish, but he needs to avoid the power and treat Robbie with the respect that he has earned over his 21 years as a professional fighter. So Ponzinibbio's the pick, but avoid the power, do what you do, stay technical, use the range, pour on some volume. Then we got the co-main event. I'm going to be honest with you. I love Paddy. I think everybody loves Paddy at this point. That ring camera footage of his dog taking a sloppy shit in somebody's yard is fantastic. This is one of the most likable guys in the world. This is a pretty shitty co-main event, right? I mean, right? I don't even think this is a fight night main event. I'm looking forward to this fight. Paddy's entertaining, but the fact that this is the co-main event of the last pay-per-view of the year kind of sucks. We got Paddy Pimblett taking on Jared Gordon, and Paddy's a hot prospect. He's coming off a trio of really fun wins. He's a pretty well-rounded guy. He's got lots of experience despite only having 4 fights, or this being his 4th fight in the UFC. He can be hittable because he tends to just keep his chin up high, but he's got solid striking offense with a ton of volume. He's a very smooth grappler who flows well on the ground and really does have all the tools to be the next big thing. He's coming off that submission win over Jordan Leavitt, where everyone was just talking about how dangerous Jordan's grappling is and, if he gets it to the ground. And then Paddy made him look like a bitch, and he out-grappled the quote-unquote better grappler. Jared Gordon is a good wrestler. He's got solid pressure and striking. He does bounce between featherweight and lightweight, and you can see that size difference in some of these matchups. He's got solid volume, and he likes to come forward in flurries before looking for that takedown. He averages almost 2 takedowns per fight, but he can be out-grappled like he was against Grant Dawson and Joe Solecki. He's coming off that win over Leonardo Santos, where he defended 3 takedowns and landed 5 times as many strikes. 5 times as many strikes is wild in a fist fight. Paddy should win this fight. And I think the 2-1 odds are actually appropriate. He should be the better offensive striker. He should be the better pure grappler. He definitely needs to be working his takedown defense because it's very possible Jared Jordan just gets him down and lays on top of him. Jordan Leavitt took him down 3 times, and Jordan has absolute trash takedowns, whereas Gordon, these names sound very similar, where Jared Gordon has legit wrestling. If Jordan Leavitt is taking down Paddy Pimblett 3 times, Jared Gordon could probably do that as well. So it's a little closer than I think a lot of people are going to assume, but Paddy's going to be the better striker, better grappler, and he just needs to make sure he isn't just held on his back the whole time. The best bet here, so Paddy's the pick, the best bet here is going to be Paddy Pimblett inside the distance, decision, no action, but he's the favorite here, so those odds might suck. We'll see when they drop those odds. And all that means is if Paddy wins inside the distance, you get paid. But if he loses a decision, you get a refund. And I think those are the 2 outcomes that are most likely here. So we'll see. I mean, if it's minus 250, I'll do it. Minus 500, I'm not going to do it. But anyway, Paddy's going to be the better striker. Paddy's going to have the better jiu-jitsu. He's not going to have the better wrestling. He is at risk for being held on his back, but he should still win this fight. There's your summary. Now we have the new main event of the evening. We have Jan Blachowicz trying to win his title back against Magomed Ankalaev, who's trying to win the vacant title for the very first time. Jiri Prochazka blew his shoulder out, apparently so bad that he just vacated the title and he's going to be gone for over a year. Some scrambling. This is our main event. Jan Blachowicz is the former light heavyweight champion of the world who lost his belt to Glover Teixeira last October, but then he bounced back with a very weird win over Alexander Rasik in May. Jan is a striker who hits incredibly hard and has solid wrestling. You don't see him wrestle often, but we saw it on display against Izzy. He had 3 takedowns in that fight, and we've seen it in some other fights as well that you can find on YouTube. He's a well-rounded guy with a world of experience. He is 12-6 in the UFC with wins over Jared Cannonier, Jacare Souza, Luke Rockhold, and Israel Adesanya. Magomed Ankalaev is a long kickboxer who uses range really well and has devastating kicks. He's going to throw kicks right up the middle, almost like that one that Anderson Silva used when he knocked out Vitor Belfort. He has power in both of his hands and his feet. He's very versatile. If he gets in trouble striking, he does have wrestling backup plan. He averages around 1 takedown per fight. He took down Thiago Santos 2 fights ago, Volkan Ozdemir before that, and Nikita Krylov 3 times in the fight before that. He has 1 single loss, and that was literally a last-second submission, literally 1 second left submission loss to Paul Craig, and that just happens sometimes. And that was his UFC debut. He's not the most exciting fighter, but he is likely the best light heavyweight in the division. Jan's a powerful striker, but Ankalaev is the most complete guy in the division. He is methodical, technical, and he can win a fight anywhere. He is a Dagestani who prefers to strike, but he can wrestle. Jan's only chance here is to get in range and land big. I can't see him doing that. I don't know how he's going to get in the range. Ankalaev is too long, too accurate, too controlled to get caught up in a pocket brawl. Ankalaev is absolutely the pick. He is incredible value at -255. Incredible value at -255. Guys, that's the breakdown. Don't forget, we are giving away $1,000. $1,000. And you don't need to do anything other than subscribe to this channel, subscribe to our other channel, Picks Nation, and comment on the giveaway video. And as long as we hit 10,000 subscribers before the first, which we should, we're going to go ahead and give somebody $1,000. Do 3 of those things. Don't be the moron who does 1 or 2 of them and doesn't win. Do all 3 of those very free things and you can win $1,000. The links for all of that are in the description. Become a premium member. I mean, at this point, if you're watching these videos and you're not a premium member, unless you're living on the side of the street and you can't find $10 in your couch, I don't know what the problem is. We've given you 51 units of net profit over the last 4 events. 13 units of net profit last night. Plus you get the DraftKings Optimizer, DraftKings Player Ranking, FanDuel Player Ranking, Prize Picks, Underdog Fantasy, Monkey Knife Fight, all our picks, all our bets. And not only do you get that stuff, it's all hitting. It is all hitting. The 51 units I mentioned of net profit is only the bets. Prize Picks has been free money. Monkey Knife Fight has been free money. We're giving you everything. It's only $10 a month, and it'll be $10 a month forever. I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. Sign up now. One decent weekend pays for years worth of membership. And if you want $50, kick off your holiday season. Ho, ho, ho your way into $50. That didn't even, what a shit transition that was. Just go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our betting partners. Make a deposit. We'll send you $50 as a thank you. That's at WeWantPicks.com/bets.